Welcome to Season 2 of the Cryptopulse podcast, your ultimate guide to the world of crypto, Bitcoin, and world economics. We're here to guide you through the crypto universe with thought-provoking topics, in-depth knowledge, and information to help you make informed decisions. We'll also be interviewing some of the best minds in the industry, such as CEOs of crypto projects, traders, economists, authors, and development teams from around the globe. And now for the episode.
Hello and welcome back to the Cryptopulse podcast for another one of our epic episodes about crypto and macroeconomics. Ben, great to see you.
Great to see you. I feel like we haven't been here for a little while. I was chuckling, just because I haven't heard that intro for a little while. We've taken not a break, but we've just had a couple of weeks to not look at the markets. Which is has been rare for us.
Yeah, because what was it? The last episode, we put together some of the best moments of season 2, which I listened back to, and they really were my favourite and best moments. Cal put those together for us, our producer. And then, the week before that, we had a guest interview. So it's been we haven't done one of these weekly episodes in a little while, and we're going to have a quick overview of the market. We're going to talk a little bit about what we see coming in 2023. Should we just kick off with the macro environment then? Because not an awful lot has changed.
Yeah, absolutely nothing really has. It's much the same as where we left it a few weeks back. Bitcoin is sort of still trending sideways from November 22, where we dipped down to that sort of 18K mark. We've just been stuck in that kind of 18K to 17K zone with lows of sort of 16.8. The altcoin market has taken a battering as we expected it would do. I suppose the question which everybody is asking is if Bitcoin is going to take yet another major leg down. And whilst we can't answer that with any degree of certainty, what I can say is that we are very much still in a macro downtrend. We had, of course, a CPI announcement yesterday, which actually came in pretty good. It was 7.1% year on year, which was, I can't
sounds
believe
great.
Sounds wonderful. Yeah, inflation is great, but it's better than it has been. You know, we've sort of seen 8.5 plus. So it is coming back down. Today, it's Wednesday, the 14th of December. There's going to be a speech by Powell later on today to talk about the interest rate hike. Most analysts are expecting it to be something like 0.5%. If we get another 0.75, then I think that's probably very bearish for the markets, and we may well see another big leg down. But on the CPI announcement that we had yesterday, futures markets rallied significantly. The S&P was up roughly 2%, and has followed through today. We've got the S&P trading at $4,048. So there's some optimism. We're sort of, if you say that this bear market really started in January of the start of this year, we're nearly 12 months into that now. Historically, bear markets will last 12 to 24 months. So, probably a bit more pain to see throughout 2023. And for me, I'm really looking for that pivot by the Fed, the one where they start to bring those interest rates back down, or to see that the CPI has come really sort of under control.
Agreed. Unfortunately, we're just waiting for the Fed on those counts, and we're also waiting on the SEC because there's been so much talk about regulation, and the most recent revelation with SBF and FTX. So SBF has been arrested if you've been living under a rock for the last few days, and it looks like he will be charged with all counts of different things, but securities fraud is one of them. Yeah. And it looks like the SEC are really, really going to clamp down now on tokens that they believe are securities, which could include everything apart from Bitcoin. It really could. They've come out and said that they believe Bitcoin is a commodity, and I don't think you can argue it's a security. And I'm really concerned for the market. I'm really concerned for the next 6 months as the regulation comes out. If there's any retrospective sort of reaction from the SEC in terms of saying, going to these projects and saying, hey, you should have registered this as security. Here's a massive fine. I'm a bit worried about that.
Yeah, I have had this conversation with a few other people, and it's one thing for the SEC to retrospectively tell projects that they should have been registered as securities, but you have to bear in mind that the SEC haven't put together a straightforward way to register as a security if you're a crypto or blockchain project. The framework hasn't been there. So it's all very well running something through the standard Howey test, which was invented in the 70s to determine if something is a security or not. But,
Yes.
we live in a very different era. Tech has evolved. Trading has evolved. The creation of securities has evolved. You don't have to run an IPO now where you go through months of legal work to sort of, take an offering to the public. You can literally just mint an ERC20 token or mint a JPEG, call it an NFT, and, sell out in 24 hours. I think that the finance now is moving on the rails of the internet. And I think that has meant that regulators have struggled to keep up. And so, retrospectively, you probably could go to projects like FTT, which, really should have been a security, or some of these other big ones, maybe Ethereum. You could go to them and say, hey, you need to register as a security, and here's a massive fine. But actually, I think the SEC also need to take some responsibility for this. They've had plenty of time. But Bitcoin has been around for a long time now. Crypto and the crypto markets have been around for a long time. We had the crash of Mt. Gox. We've had so many major scams, and regulators keep saying regulation's coming, it's coming, it's coming. We've had the White House setting up a task force to go out and find out where regulation needs to be applied first. And I'm still not seeing anything meaningful come to fruition. So I think there is blame to be shared here. I think it's all very well to point the finger at the crypto markets, but if you allow free markets to be free markets without regulation, then you have to learn to expect that there's going to be some dodgy goings on, and the SEC are to blame for that, I think.
Yeah, so it's more that I think that they'll come out with a structure and a framework next year. I do think that. I think springtime next year we'll see something come out, and we'll see some of the biggest projects be able to fulfill those obligations and meet those requirements because they'll have the funding, the team, the experience in place. And then I think it will finally flush out a lot of the shit in the market, quite honestly. And that's why, our approach has been well, I say it has been quite conservative. We've really gone for BTC and other altcoins that are more likely to survive should there be some kind of real clampdown and new guidance with legislation. Because I think these big projects will be able to ride that. I certainly hope so. I'm not talking about Ethereum specifically, but there's other large blockchain projects that have got so much activity on them and have enormous market caps and large foundations and lots of experience. And so personally, for me, it's not the time now to be dabbling in the speculative bottom end of the market and thinking, what is my next 10,000x? Because you could put $1,000 in that, and that could very likely zero out over the next 6 months. So, you need to be careful. But it'll be good. Look, the legislation is coming. We just need, we need it. We need to know what the framework is so that businesses, foundations, projects can start building again, and we can just create that next era of the crypto market, and hopefully without too much regulation, but enough to stop some of the things that have happened recently.
Yeah. I think that's very, very fair to say. And people ask, will crypto have another bull market? And I think we will have another bull market. I think Bitcoin will probably reach new all-time highs. When that happens, I don't know. But there is so much capital sat on the sidelines at the moment that's waiting to come in. Once there's a clear path for them to do so, you've still got hedge funds, you've still got pension funds, you've still got family offices, people that have got huge amounts of capital to allocate that are trying to sort of escape that inflation spiral. But at the moment, there's not a really good regulatory framework for them to be able to operate under. So I think once that's in place, and of course, it's not just the UK and US, There are countries all over the world where this sort of thing is going to be really important. So I'm confident. I think we will see another major bull run. And you sort of mentioned about buying tokens that looking for things that's going to do 1,000 extra in the next bull market. I mean, there are going to be buying opportunities over the next 6 months. I think there will be chances to get in at rock bottom prices, and of course, it's still our job as investors and traders to find the great opportunities as they arise, but don't go betting the house on it. You need to go in with some risk capital that you are prepared to lose in its entirety, and if it's gone, it doesn't affect your way of living or your ability to pay bills. Really approach this like you would with taking money to a casino. I think that's probably the way to look at it.
It does feel like that a little bit.
Does.
I remember in the last bear market, and I just had my crypto sat there. I didn't buy any more. It was just sat there felt like maybe it was 6-12 months, something like that. And there was just minimal price action, and it went down slowly. And it was, and I just thought, I was just like, is this ever going to come back? Are we going to see the prices we saw previously? What's next for the market? And even the best of us start doubting that this thing is gonna, there's going to be a bull market again, because when you're at the bottom and when you're in the depths of despair, that's when even, like I say, the best of us start to question things. And I did a little bit. I was thinking, could they regulate crypto out of its existence? Could it just end up being Ethereum and Bitcoin? And what's going to happen? And I thought, this is exactly how I felt before, which was pretty like not wanting to talk about the market as much, not wanting to spend as much time in it. And I think that the opportunity is coming to make life-changing amounts of money by picking the right projects. And I think we see another leg down personally. I hope I'm wrong. I do hope I'm wrong. But you've got to, what's that saying? Be greedy when other people are fearful, and be fearful when other people are greedy. And we never seem to learn as human beings, and you've got to, if you really believe that, then you have to act that out.
I totally agree. I think the emotional cycles of markets is one of those things that even when you understand it, even when you understand it from an academic perspective, when you're going through it personally, it's very difficult to be objective about that experience. And as you just said, I can feel that we are getting to the bottom, because I feel like I felt back in 2018.
Right.
That feeling of absolute despair, apathy, uninterested, angry. It's all of those feelings which mark the bottom. It marks that sort of point of capitulation. And for me, the point where I feel like I want to sell everything, is typically the indicator that I probably need to
definitely shouldn't.
Definitely shouldn't. Yeah, we'll buy more. But it is hard. It's really, really difficult to be objective when you're living that experience. But luckily, you can train yourself to be better than 90% of the markets with time. But I think you have to go through a couple of these boom and bust cycles to really understand it.
Oh, definitely. And you need to have sources of income. You need to have cash flowing assets that allow you to create these opportunities. It's very hard to do this if you just got a job. I mean, if you've got a job and it's very well paid, then maybe. But otherwise, it's quite difficult. And even though I've been in the crypto market for, where are we, 5 years now? I still don't feel like I'm a great investor. I mean, we've done some great things and it's been very good for us, but I still don't feel like I'm a pro investor. But what I'm really good at is building companies and building cash flowing assets and businesses that allows me to make some mistakes but win more than I lose. And I think you need to back to your strengths in this, particularly in this market. Is that, are you a buyer, a hodler, or are you a trader? Are you a long-term investor? Are you a short-term investor? What are your strengths? And I don't think my strengths are definitely not trading on a short time scale.
I don't think many people are. I think that's you've got to be a very particular kind of person to do that sort of thing. I think being able to trade on those low time frames is is very, very difficult.
Unless you're in a bull market, like a strong bull market, then any person can do it.
Yeah, true.
Should we talk a little bit about our plans for 2023? Personally, what we're doing, what our approach is, and maybe we could share some insights with our listeners.
Yeah, well, my personal view is that as we enter into this recession, one of the things that I've always been good at is building businesses, and I love doing it. And I think, building businesses is interesting. It's exciting. You get to use all of the skills and knowledge that you've acquired over years of doing it. And the great thing about building businesses is that you only ever get better at it. The accumulation of knowledge and experience and your network and your wealth all build up to sort of making you much, much better at whatever you take on. So I think going into this recession, we talk about where is a safe bet? What's a safe bet? Where's a safe place to put your money? Is it gold? Is it, is it bonds? Is it this? Is it that? Well, actually, I think if you're a relatively experienced business person or somebody, with some skills and an idea, probably during periods like this, the best place to the best place to put your time and money is into yourself and your own business. And I think that's what we're doing next year, is we're really sort of pivoting back to building businesses, building cash flowing assets, building things that are valuable, that generate cash and give us a sustained income and free cash flow to be able to then deploy into some of these buying opportunities. So yeah, that's my personal approach for 2023. Just focus on building things whilst the macro is shitty.
The great thing about building businesses and cash flowing assets is that there's never a bad time to do it, but they're really great. A really great time, a particularly great time, I think, is during an economic downturn. And you build one that's really good, and you build a couple that are really good and sustainable and have longevity and can work without the founder, and they're great. We've both done that, and honestly, without that business knowledge and without that additional cash flow, it would have been very difficult for us to even start doing this show and start. We started Cryptopulse not as a way to make money. We did it as a way to learn, and my God, we've learned so much. So yeah, that's that. I mean, my approach is very similar to yours. Actually, it is to get to a point where I've built with you one or two extra cash flowing assets, and then just use that cash widely to invest in my future and where applicable into the crypto market. So we've got a couple of tech projects going on. We have our marketing agency, of course, and which have both done very well over the years. But I think applying that extra focus now is important as we enter probably the worst phase of the bear market. My only caveat to that is Bitcoin hasn't ever seen a macro environment which has a contraction of money supply and a recession. It's not sort of been in that macroeconomic backdrop before. So I'm not sure whether the usual rules will apply. I've got a feeling this bear market might go on a bit longer than what we want to, but for me, it's not a problem because it just gives us longer to dollar cost average in and buy the really, really good stuff ready for the boom, whether it's 24 or 25.
Yeah, absolutely. And it will come again.
It sure will.
That much is certain. These cycles come and go. The opportunities change, and the hype or whatever the hype is around changes, but it will come again. But you're right. I mean, we've been building businesses together for a long time anyway, and we have some really great cash flowing businesses already. And whilst we still focus on those, I think it, as you rightly said, it's a good opportunity now for us to be focusing on building something new, another thread to that bow.
Definitely. What do you think the next big thing will be in the next bull run? So we saw like this time round it was DeFi and NFTs. Do you think that there's going to be a certain segment of crypto or part of crypto that you think that is going to drive that next bull run?
I don't know. That is a very, very difficult question.
It is.
I don't think Web3 is going to be as big as people think it's going to be. I think the decentralization of power in an organization, I don't think we're quite ready for that. I think it's a little bit utopian. I think that to build big profitable companies, you need real structure and organization. And actually FTX has been a really good example of that. Sam didn't have a board. He was solely responsible for billions and billions of dollars, and didn't have a board that applied any checks and balances to that. So, with Web3 being decentralization and decentralized business, I just don't see how that works yet. That said, as long as there are good marketers out there and people that are convincing enough, people will buy anything. So, maybe Web3 will do well in the next bull run. But do I think it's going to be, the next thing that changes the world? I'm not convinced yet.
Just on the point about FTX, did you see that they were using QuickBooks to manage all of their money in and money out?
No, it didn't.
It just made me laugh. Yeah, it's like it was almost done on a spreadsheet. I think some of it. Honestly, it's just amazing how that happened. Terribly amazing. I mean, not amazingly good. But I agree with you on the Web3 thing. So I think that like decentralized protocols or decentralized functions will do well. So I think you could replace a lot of government departments, a lot of things like things in the DVLA, things like house purchases, land registry, that type of thing. I think there could be way more technology and blockchain usage and things like that. And I think that over time we'll see that kind of that those decentralized functions expand. But to have a fully decentralized organization, it's hard because the whole way something moves forward is because a small group of people make things happen. And when you have like governance and voting, and it just becomes a committee. And I can't remember who it was actually, but somebody. Oh, it wasn't Gary Vaynerchuk. It was somebody like that said that one of the problems is with these things is too many people have got an opinion, and therefore these things fail because everything's done by voting and committee. So I think we've got a long way to go till some of this figures itself out. But for me, the most important thing that we need to fix is fix the money. And I know I sound like a Bitcoin maxi, but I am a little bit of a one now, in the sense that I believe that it's the most important problem to fix. And I think until we actually fix that, then some of these other things don't matter as much. So I don't know what the next driver will be. Gosh, I wish I did. I wish I did know what it was. But I think this legislation and the first part of next year is going to tell us a lot about where this sector is going to be going. But I remain long-term super bullish and super positive. It's just been a hell of an S-curve that we've gone through, and every technology sector goes through this S-curve, but this has just played out a lot quicker, a lot faster, and it's played out in real time because unlike the dot-com era where these things happen, everything is a lot more transparent and the flow of information is a lot faster.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, I mean, as I say, we're moving on the rails of the internet now, which means that things go viral, knowledge goes viral much faster. And I think that's what we've seen. But it's exciting, as you sort of rightly said. I think there's lots of reasons to be optimistic long term. There are lots of big technology innovations that are happening now, which are going to be world changing. The advent of artificial intelligence. I really think we are probably reaching a point where that's going to start to shape the way that we live our day-to-day lives. I think once we've got sort of speech interfaces and language interfaces that work with even some of the current AI linguistic technologies, I think we are going to be moving into the realms of having digital home assistants that can build apps that can converse with us, like, some of the stuff we see in sci-fi movies. So I think we're edging ever closer, and I don't think the general public are ready for the level of shift that is coming. And I would say it's probably bigger than the internet. It's going to be a monumental shift in the way that we run our lives. AI now is capable of building small applications. It's capable of building landing pages, web pages. How long until you can just ask an AI to build an app that tracks, I don't know, your kids' schedules for the week, and then it builds something that's bespoke for your family and it operates within your house. I really think we're getting there. And we've also got companies that are building robotics at lightning speed that are now capable of doing just the most incredible stunts. That technology is boomed. So I think we're getting close to those sci-fi movie scenarios. I mean, the one thing that I think was probably quite a way off is flying cars, but never say never.
Yeah, I don't think we'll ever get to flying cars, but I do want to know whether we can get to like replicators like they have in Star Trek, where you can just be like, yeah, Earl Grey hot, and a mug of Earl Grey comes out like Picard used to do. That would be cool. Yeah. But I agree with you on the AI front. I mean, I know you've been playing around with some of the open AI stuff recently, and you show me some of the things it can do, and I've had to play around with it, and I'm like, oh my God, this is a game changer. And I think if you can have a trained personal assistant that gets to understand and know you, and you can delegate tasks, administrative tasks, home, like home duties, like domestic duties, that's what I'm trying to say, or whatever it is, and this will all be free.
Yeah,
and that's going to change. That's going to change a lot. So it's going to change the way humans work. It's going to change the cost of things. And I agree. I don't think we're ready for that change, because this AI will grow exponentially, and I don't think people really understand what those growth curves look like until they happen. Look at what happened with the internet, and look at what happened with social media and Web 2. That just like, it was just lightning fast. And if we start to see with AI lightning fast payments, maybe on the Lightning Network, then I think we're seriously into something very, very cool. I'm all for it, as long as that information and that data is sovereign to you and it can't be accessed by anybody else without your permission. I think it'll be pretty awesome.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think it's exciting, but the shift will be monumental. It'll be an interesting era to live through.
Yeah, maybe an AI will end up replacing us on the show.
Yeah, no, well, never say never. That'd be nice. It'd give me loads more time to just sit and catch up on, I don't know, Netflix. Who knows? Yeah,
we won't have any admin to do or any like jobs to do, because the AI would have done that. So the AI connected to a robot, that's the answer, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, or my voice in the cloud connected to an AI.
But that would be good, because I always ask you questions about different things. I could, rather than disturb you, I could just use a little interface. Askben.ai.
Love that. Right. I might buy that domain.
It's a good place to end. Thanks for listening. We'll catch you soon.
We hope you enjoyed this episode. It would mean the world to us if you could leave a review wherever you're listening. This really does help and allows other people to find us online. You can keep up to date with new releases of the podcast by subscribing and following us on Twitter or Instagram for the latest crypto-related news. Information provided by Cryptopulse via this podcast, website, social media channels, and any other medium does not constitute financial advice, investment recommendations, or any other type of advice whatsoever. The Cryptopulse team are not professional financial advisors. Trading and purchasing cryptocurrencies do carry risks, and anybody wishing to partake in such activities should seek professional advice.